Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we address an essential topic for every believer. This way anger can ruin your life and how Islam teaches to control it. Anger is a natural human emotion that each of us experiences at one time or another. It can sometimes seem justified to us, especially in the face of injustice or upsetting events. But if left unchecked, this emotion can become a real poison for our lives, destroying relationships, affecting our well-being, and taking us away from spiritual tranquility. In Islam, controlling anger is a strongly encouraged virtue. Self-control is an integral part of the believer's character, and Islam teaches us that true courage is not to overcome by force but to control one's anger in moments of provocation. A hadith reported by Abu Huraira reminds us that the Prophet said, "The strong is not the one who is a good fighter, but the one who knows how to control himself when he is angry." This teaching highlights the spiritual value of restraint and the power of self-discipline. The Holy Quran itself invites believers to contain their anger. Those who suppress their anger and forgive people, Allah loves the doers. This verse shows that controlling anger is not only an act of discipline but also a path to divine mercy. Before starting this video, I invite you to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell to stay informed of our next publications on the Islamic faith. Thank you and good video. In this video, we will explore the dangers of anger and the ways that Islam provides us to control it in order to preserve our faith, our health, and our relationships. So stay with me till the end to find out. If you have any questions or comments along the way, feel free to leave them down below. I really appreciate your feedback. Let's go. First way, anger harms personal relationships. Anger, when uncontrolled, can become a real scourge for relationships, whether family or friends. Outbursts of anger often leave deep scars, damaging the trust and complicity that unites people. In the family context, one word too many, one brutal gesture can permanently hurt a loved one and alter the climate of respect and love that should reign between parents and children, spouses, brothers and sisters. Friends, too, can become distant or even disappear in the face of repeated angry behavior, where patience and understanding give way to arguments and blame. There are many examples of conflicts caused by anger. How many homes break up after violent quarrels? How many friendships are broken because of a hurtful word spoken in anger? These situations show that very often it is not the substance of the discussion that causes the breakup, but the form, the lack of self-control that poisons the relationship and breaks its foundations. Islam guides us precisely on this subject, encouraging patience and gentleness in human relationships. The Prophet said, "He who is deprived of gentleness is deprived of all good." This hadith recalls the importance of moderation and calm. Gentleness and self-control allow you to manage disagreements without resorting to anger, thus avoiding making situations worse. By cultivating patience and suppressing anger, we build stronger bonds based on tolerance and mutual respect. In the Holy Quran, Allah exhorts us to this same restraint: repel evil with what is better. Surat al-Fusilat 41:34. By seeking to react with kindness even in the face of situations that provoke anger, the believer learns to preserve his relationships and spread peace around him. Second way, anger affects mental and physical health. Anger not only impacts our relationships, it also leaves a deep imprint on our mental and physical health. When we give in to this emotion, our body reacts immediately. Heart rate increases, blood pressure increases, and stress hormones like adrenaline flood our system. These reactions are useful in situations of immediate danger, but when they become frequent due to repeated anger, they end up exhausting the body, creating muscle tension, migraines, and even digestive problems. In the long term, this buildup of stress can also increase the risk of heart disease and weaken the immune system, making the body more vulnerable to disease. On a mental level, anger continues to wreak havoc. It disrupts inner calm, increases negative thoughts, and can lead to states of anxiety, sadness, or even depression. By holding on to anger, we deprive ourselves of peace of mind, which directly affects the quality of life. In Islam, the well-being of body and mind is crucial because it allows believers to remain calm and fulfill their obligations with constancy and sincerity. To counter the destructive effects of anger, Islam recommends emotional regulation practices like dhikr and prayer, which help restore calm and refocus the mind. Dhikr, the constant reminder of Allah, calms the heart by turning the mind away from anger and reminding us to put trials into perspective. Allah says in the Quran, "Surely it is by the remembrance of Allah that hearts become tranquil." Surat Ar-Ra'd 13-28. This verse invites us to see in dhikr a source of serenity and stability in the face of disturbing emotions. Likewise, prayer is a valuable tool for calming anger. It allows us to turn to Allah and confide our frustrations and tensions to Him while finding inner balance. By practicing spiritual acts, the believer takes care of his body and mind and protects his physical and mental health. Third way, anger leads to impulsive and regrettable decisions. Anger, by igniting the mind, often pushes to impulsive reactions, disconnected from any rational reflection. Under the effect of this emotion, words and actions escape our control, sometimes leading to hasty decisions whose consequences are irreversible. Many arguments break out, relationships fall apart, and commitments are broken simply because a decision was made in anger. Regrets often occur when the mind calms down and the seriousness of the action taken or the words spoken becomes evident. How many families, friendships, and partnerships have fallen apart because of this type of behavior? Islam places immense importance on patience and reflection, exhorting us to never act impulsively. One of the essential Islamic teachings is the importance of remaining calm to avoid regrettable mistakes. In an authentic Hadith, the Prophet said, "Whoever gets angry, let him sit down. If the anger persists, let him lie down." This simple and practical advice shows how Islam values self-control and encourages the believer to calm down before acting. This preventive attitude allows you to take the time to think about the consequences and avoid actions that you might deplore. Patience and wisdom are qualities that allow you to control your impulses and make informed choices. As a Quranic verse says, "And whoever endures with patience and forgiveness, this indeed is part of good disposition and resolution in affairs." Patience thus becomes a strength that helps you take a step back and act with discernment. Islam encourages every believer to observe their emotions and think before reacting, because decisions made calmly are often fairer and better suited to situations. By cultivating this patience and seeking to maintain a peaceful mind, we protect ourselves from the errors of impulsiveness. We strengthen our character by remembering that a decision made wisely is a decision we will not regret. When anger takes over, it often transforms our behavior in a negative way, and this transformation is perceived by others. Loud voices, a closed face, harsh words, all these signs create an image of ourselves that can surprise or even repel those around us. Angry people are frequently perceived as aggressive or even unstable, and this perception can harm their reputation in social relationships. Thus, anger ends up altering not only our behavior but also the way others see us, undermining our dignity and respectability. In Islam, good behavior, adabi, is an essential virtue, and the Prophet placed great emphasis on the importance of gentleness, even in tense situations. He said, "He who is deprived of gentleness is deprived of all good." This guide shows that gentleness is a precious quality that preserves our dignity and attracts hearts. Believers are encouraged to control their emotions to adopt a benevolent and tolerant attitude, in all senses and without constant, because a good character is not only pleasing to others, but also acceptable to Allah. To prevent outbursts of anger, it is useful to identify the triggers that put us under tension and to develop strategies to manage them. Dhikr, the remembrance of Allah, helps calm the soul. While taking a moment to breathe deeply or change posture, sit or lie down, as advised in the Hadith, can help calm outbursts of anger. Practicing self-discipline and prayer are also effective ways to develop stable and harmonious behavior. By integrating these methods, we strengthen our character, protect our reputation, and move closer to the ideal of Islamic behavior. Fifth way, anger leads away from spirituality and faith. Anger, when left free, gradually weakens our bond with Allah. Indeed, it darkens the soul, nourishing feelings of resentment and bitterness, which can distract us from the values of tolerance and mercy encouraged by Islam. A person experiencing repeated anger often withdraws from spiritual practices because their heart is burdened with negative emotions. The more we let this emotion dominate us, the more difficult it becomes to refocus, to pray sincerely, and to find peace in the remembrance of Allah. Islam emphasizes patience and restraint as essential elements of faith. In an ahadith, the Prophet said, "Whoever suppresses his anger while he is capable of expressing it, Allah will fill his heart with serenity and faith on the day of resurrection. This teaching shows the spiritual value of self-control and reminds us that even in times of anger, an act of restraint is rewarded by Allah. Patience and the ability to remain calm are not only social virtues, but acts of faith that bring the believer closer to their Creator. To find inner peace and free yourself from the destructive effects of anger, forgiveness is a precious key. To forgive is to rise above negative emotions, and it brings deep relief to the heart. The Quran encourages us to respond to evil with good and to practice forgiveness to ease tensions and find tranquility. Repel evil with what is better. Forgiveness allows the believer to let go of grudges, to get closer to Allah, and to cultivate a pure and peaceful heart. By practicing forgiveness, stepping back in moments of tension, and seeking guidance from Allah through dhikr and prayer, we strengthen our spiritual connection and inner balance. Controlling anger thus becomes a source of spiritual strength, allowing one to preserve and nourish one's faith. Sixth way, anger creates a toxic work environment. Anger, when it enters the professional environment, can transform the workplace into a hostile and heavy space. Uncontrolled outbursts of anger create tension, generate conflicts, and can also lead to sanctions or dismissals. A work environment marked by anger and arguments affects team productivity and morale. Colleagues feel uncomfortable and collaboration crumbles, making every day at work difficult. This harms not only the company, but also each individual who sees their motivation and well-being affected by this negative climate. In Islam, working with respect, integrity, and kindness is essential. This verse reminds us of the importance of maintaining an impeccable attitude, even under pressure. The Prophet also teaches us to favor exemplary behavior in all circumstances. By cultivating respect and listening at work, we contribute to an environment where everyone feels valued and respected. To prevent anger and stress from taking over at work, certain self-management techniques can be very beneficial. Deep breathing, for example, helps calm the nervous system and quiet the mind. Taking a few moments to isolate yourself, recite dhikrs, or meditate on patience also allows you to regain your calm. Planning tasks and setting priorities helps reduce stress, as does adopting constructive communication to resolve conflicts. By cultivating these habits, we develop better self-control and create a more serene and productive work environment. Anger, when frequently expressed in front of children, can have profound consequences on their education and well-being. Children, being particularly sensitive to their parents' emotions, are often destabilized by angry behavior. When exposed to repeated anger, they may develop feelings of fear, stress, and even insecurity. These behaviors influence their perception of authority and can alter their self-confidence. By seeing anger as a normal reaction to difficulties, they also risk adopting impulsive attitudes, thus creating a vicious circle in their own development. Islam teaches us the importance of setting an example in the education of children. The Prophet said, "He who is not gentle receives no good." With these words, he encourages us to act with patience and kindness, especially towards our children, who learn by imitation. Leading by example by managing our emotions teaches them the value of patience and helps them develop respectful and balanced behavior. Islamic education values a gentle approach where children are guided with love and wisdom. To prevent anger from interfering with children's education, it is helpful to adopt strategies to calm down before reacting. For example, changing rooms for a few moments or taking deep breaths can help you regain calm. The Getakaker also help to maintain inner serenity, which is essential to maintain a harmonious family environment. Furthermore, establishing moments of communication with children to calmly discuss their errors or behaviors is more beneficial than impulsive reactions. By choosing kindness and patience, parents build an environment conducive to the development of their children. They offer them solid guidelines and teach them that even in moments of tension, it is always possible to react calmly and wisely.